Once again, members of the fourth estate, you've come to Zanu PF, the home of the permanent Zimbabwe revolution. The last 2 days we have been seized with the preparations for our 21st conference of the party, which will be held at the ZiG grounds in Bulawayo, the seat of queens and kings, one of the most cultural of the Zimbabwe modern cities. All the preparations are going smoothly, and we have had meetings in Bulawayo where our national chairperson was giving a layout as to how the conference is going to be handled. So from a logistical side, everything is in place. We are very happy. As I always emphasize, we are a very organized and structured party with a lot of history. So our things work according to the traditions of the organizational discipline of Zanu PF, and it's manifest in all the preparations which have been going on. I will not dwell into that because you can see by the way our Politburo meeting went smoothly yesterday. You also see by the way our Central Committee meeting went today. We discussed a lot of issues which are of importance to the nation, because the conference is a review of the work of the government as directed by Zanu PF. We are the party which gives programs and policies to the government, to the cabinet. So, and the cabinet is our delivery mechanism to the people of Zimbabwe. So when we carry out our policy, when we deliver our policies, we deliver them to the president through a cabinet, and he implements. And then we want a feedback as to what has been going on in cabinet insofar as they are addressing the cardinal issues of the permanent Zimbabwe revolution. And what are the cardinal issues, or the most important issue, which it is the delivery of prosperity to Zimbabwe. That is the mission of Zanu PF. No other purpose than to deliver prosperity to Zimbabwe. It is a part where everybody sacrificed, and you don't sacrifice your life like we did in the 1960s and 70s unless you are saying that Zimbabwe will be prosperous. If Zimbabwe cannot be prosperous, then your sacrifice is in vain. So this is the agenda of prosperity, which Zanu PF has been pursuing since its inception, and it is also the centerpiece of our discussions, and it will be what I'm going to bring to you as the highlights of what the work program of the Central Committee and the conference and the Politburo has been, and is going to be with the culmination of the conference in Bulawayo. There will be 4,000 delegates from the 10 provinces of the party, all smoothly registered. Everything is in place. And I want to thank Bulawayo province for doing such sterling work to host this particular conference. The chairmanship of Bulawayo, Comrade Jabulani Sibanda and his team, they have done wonders, and we are very confident that everything is going to go well. The main highlights of what the president will be focusing on is what I'm going to give to you. Remember, it's about delivering the prosperity of Zimbabwe. But the first things first. The first thing is we have had a 23-24 very bad season. No, there was virtually no harvest in the country this year. But because of the robustness of the Zimbabwe economy, we have by and large managed to be where we are today, late in the year, without any places where there are SOSs of famine. I know that food may not be as much as it would have been if people had their own granaries, but the government is gone all out, marshalling its resources and propelling its food delivery systems to make sure that there is no Zimbabwean who dies of hunger. And I think you are the press. I don't think you have as yet had any of such incidences. I'm not saying that there is no food deficit, but generally, by and large, we have managed the drought coming from the El Nino effect very well as a government. We are grateful to what the government has done to its delivery systems, but we are also grateful to any of the other organizations, including NGOs, who have come and complement government's work. Remember, primarily, the issue of food security is the responsibility of the government of Zimbabwe, and we are taking it that way. But the good thing is that we have such an economy today where we can virtually say on our own, we can handle a situation like we have. The next 4 months, the next 3 to 4 months are going to be the difficult ones, because the hunger hits hardest from about October, November, December, January. And for those who have carryover grains from 22, 23, it's really, now they were maybe scratching the bottom of the granaries. So we are hoping that somehow we will pull through in the next 2 to 3 to 4 months. But there is a silver lining. When we had this drought, we refocused on our wheat production, the winter wheat. It is being harvested right now, and the figures which are coming in from the GMB deliveries, even from the private granaries which also sponsor the grain, they are pleasing. I think we will have upwards of between 500 to 600,000 tons of wheat, when the normal consumption of the country is about 300,000 tons. And wheat fetches a higher price on the global market than maize. So we have done well by using our water resources for winter wheat. Something which never used to happen. We were traditionally one crop, one season economy. Now we are having 2 crops in a season, and winter wheat is snugged in very well into the agro ecosystem of Zimbabwe. So once these granaries come in, they start filling in with wheat, we expect it to also alleviate the food shortage, but we may also have surplus to sell, because wheat is almost always in demand. Africa has got a net import of wheat every year from Ukraine, from America, from Latin America, Brazil and Argentina, and from Russia, and from Europe. Africa imports millions of tons of wheat a year to feed its population. It's indeed pleasing that Zimbabwe has also become one of the net exporters of the wheat, and coming in, not only is it saving us from the El Nino drought, but it is also going to earn us hard currency. So we may be able to smoothen out this El Nino drought in much more pleasant ways than we had anticipated, courtesy of the hard work of the Zimbabwe farmers during this winter wheat season. So that is, the food security and also export earnings from our hard-working farmers. We have done well with the tobacco season. The prices were the highest this year, although the crop was small, but the prices were good. So the farmers in Urungwe, the farmers in Marondera, the farmers in March Central, they contributed, to the good crop which we have had, and it has earned us a sizable currency. It is the third or fourth largest foreign currency earner in the country. This I'm building to the robustness which the Zimbabwean economy is. Unlike when we in the First Republic, when we faced situations of drought, we became a begging bowl, totally dependent on the mess of international food donors. Zimbabwe is no longer in that situation today, and I want to thank the President of the Republic for having given this trust in agro-industry, which makes us be where we are today. But complementing the wheat sector and the agro-industry of the President has also been the way he has tended the gold sector, which, by the way, did not exist, especially the SME aspect of it, until 2016. It has come a long way, our SME gold sector. Now it contributes to 2 to 3 billion US dollars. These are young people in Makaha, in Gwanda, in Patchway, in Chegutu, in Mazoe, in Bindura, all over. Gold is everywhere. When you talk of the ZiG, I constantly remind people, don't think of the bankers in Samora Machel Avenue. or in the financial sector. They have nothing to do with the ZiG, except some of them who just manipulate it for arbitrage. The real people who deserve plaudits for the ZiG are the young people who are digging gold in all these places. And remember, gold is better money than even the US dollar. You see with the price of the gold every day on the global market, it is almost perpendicular. Each time there is some war going on elsewhere, or there is a shouting match between Russia and America, or China and America, or something happens, the price of gold goes up. So it has had a compensatory effect, even when the other minerals which we have not been fetching as good prices as we normally expect. So with that current stability which comes from our gold digging, it means that we have fought inflation, and even the recent ruckus over the ZiG, when finally the Reserve Bank went to the market and used the market for price discovery, it was clear that we have more money in US dollars, in hard currency, than the people who were trying to destroy the value of our currency. This is the biggest success of the president. The fight against inflation and hyperinflation, using in particular the gold reserves of the country, which are anchored on the young people whom I've just referred to. These are the real people whom the populace of Zimbabwe must thank, the young people who are digging gold. And the beauty is that the more they are digging more and more, and today I've read the most pleasant of news, that Huawei, which is a leader, Huawei, the company which makes phones, it's a leader in solar energy. It is moving in to provide power to the different gold senders. Power not from the grid, but from the solar industry, from the solar panels. The technology is now such that it's affordable in solar energy. It is almost on par now with the one from the thermal and hydroelectric power station. So if you get that power to the senders which I'm talking to, it means there will be more production of gold. It will be the more efficiencies. It means that people can dig longer in gold, and it means production can go up. So this is, again, one of the things which President is doing to tend the gold industry of Zimbabwe so that it can hedge against the shocks which I'm talking about. So this was also in his speech. He talked a lot about ZiG, and he duly instructed that at the conference in Bulawayo, the Minister of Finance will dedicate a report in addition to the highlight of the President himself. This is a highlight of his speech, which I've just been talking about, the ZiG aspect. Remember, what I'm talking to you are the highlights of what will be focused on, which is of importance to the prosperity of to the well-being and to the prosperity of the people of Zimbabwe. So I initially talked about wheat, I talked about the drought relief. Now I'm talking about macroeconomic stability with a focus on the ZiG and what is being done by the government to make sure that our currency remains robust, and the way our government is going all out to support the SME gold sector, because they have managed Zimbabwe to be the most de-dollarized economy in the world. Remember, the dollars which are in Zimbabwean pockets are earned by Zimbabweans. I was in New York recently. I lived in New York for many years. There are many homeless who are beggars. If America was giving Zimbabwe dollars for free, US dollars for free from the federal, all those homeless would get the US dollars for free before Zimbabweans get them. You understand? Why are we having US dollars in our pocket? Because we have earned them. So it's our currency. Don't listen to people who say our currency is weak. Our currency is strong. It's US dollar. If it's in this pocket or the ZiG is in that pocket, still it's my money. It's our money. So I want to emphasize this point, that we have no currency, we have no inflation coming from a shortage of currency in Zimbabwe. The inflation comes from arbitragers, people who are abusing the possession of two currencies, which both of them are ours. Because I repeat, the US dollars in our pockets are ours. They are not a gift of the American government. And the more young people dig gold, we dig money. It's better money than the US dollar. So this will be the highlights of the president, to assure the population that he's dealing with the arbitragers who are trying to undermine the currency. And the central bank, the Minister of Finance today, his slogan was saying, ZiG. This is from our Minister of Finance. Because he knows that the US dollars here in the market are ours. They are earned by young people digging gold. So the issue of the currency stability is important. The other issue which the president very much dwelt upon yesterday is the steel sector and the emergence of the new energy electric vehicles. You now know that we have one of the most thoroughly modern steel plants on the global market today. The plant in Manise, no European country has anything to compare with what is in Manise. And the president received a specialist in steel who happened to have been one of our comrades from Germany during the war. He worked in our information department in Mozambique from 1978 to 1979. I worked under him. He was an information expert, and he taught me computer programming during the war. That's why I got an IT university qualification. I got it from him. But he went back and became the Secretary General of IG Metall, which is the largest trade union dealing with steel making in Germany. For all his life, he has been with IG Metall. He came and inspected what he saw in Manise. He was bowled over. He says, what President Mnangagwa has achieved at Manise, there is not one single European country with an integrated plant vertically and horizontally as the one at Manise. So, and they're at the forefront of technology. You go there, there's not even steam, what is smoke coming out of the steel plant. It is being captured to drive turbines so that they produce power. And the water is purified before it goes back to the Mnyati River. And the production at Manise is 30% cheaper than in South Africa, because all the resources of steel are nearby. So the president dwelt at length on what the steel industry is going to do, because steel is the lifeblood of every economy. Steel is the food, staple food of every economy. What I eat for food as an individual or as a human being, nations eat steel for their own survival. So if you don't have a steel industry, you are out of the game. That's why all the countries which we admire most, South Korea, Japan, India, Indonesia, Turkey, Russia, EU countries, Germany, America, what is the distinguishing factor about them? A strong steel industry. So the president has restored the steel industry of Zimbabwe way times bigger than what it was at ZISCO, and potentially even bigger. And it has got implications on the logistics. As we talk, there is a team from China looking at the logistics, building new ports in Mozambique. Remember, the president met the chairman of Tsingshan steel company in Beijing last September at the Africa Summit. He met him in Beijing. The chairman flew to Beijing in his private plane, and the president hosted him in Beijing. So the teams have started coming in for the logistics between Manise and Beira. Remember, most of the steel which will come from Manise is not for local consumption. It is for export. But also the president looked at the downstream industries. We are looking at CSO in Bari, having thoroughly modern equipment so that we can make widgets which can export all over the world, so that there's more value added to that steel. We are looking at reviving the foundries in Bulawayo. Remember, Bulawayo was a steel town, and it closed because of ZISCO. Now there is restoration which we are planning, and afterwards the president directed that this expert meet with the Minister of Industry. We are talking of a steel academy, a base metals academy in Zimbabwe, and we'll be getting German experts to come and help us to set it up, because we want our skills in steel to be on par with the best in the world, and the best in the world is from what? From Germany, traditionally. But of course, Chinese have started being the top country, so we take it from wherever. And remember, the beauty about it is all this superstructure which is at Manise was built by young Zimbabweans. The raw steel came from China and South Africa, but all that structure was built by young Zimbabweans, being given the skills by their Chinese experts. So we are building a steel expertise base which is second to none in the country. So the president is very pleased with the work plan of both the Minister of Industry and the Minister of Mines, and now the Minister of Transport, concerning the whole steel ecosystem. Out of it also is the prospect of having the new energy electric vehicle become the main mode of transportation in Zimbabwe. To date, if you see all the garages in town, they are bonded warehouse. They are second-hand Japanese cars, which are using fossil fuel, diesel, and petrol. Now, with what has happened in Manize, we should now move to new energy electric vehicles. And this is also underpinned by the fact that we now have a very thriving lithium industry. Zimbabwe has carved a place in the global value chain of lithium batteries. And this is what we are going to build on. So the president was at pains to highlight to the Politburo's work plan and the government to say we must have a policy framework to shift from the combustion engines, which require a lot of second-hand parts and support the Japanese car industry, and also force us to import fossil fuels from the Middle East and elsewhere. Now we are going to be using electric energy, which we generate, solar, and also the battery storage, which we eventually will manufacture in Zimbabwe. So the president is very clear that the future of mobility in Zimbabwe is going to be new energy electric vehicles. And this will probably serve very well the urban areas. There's nothing with the mileage which batteries now cover. There's no reason why Harare Bindura, Harare Marondera, Harare Chitungwiza, Harare Norton cannot be saved. Harare Rua, they all can be saved by electric batteries, because the mileage, the kilometers which these batteries now, with these cars now have, is more than 600 to 700 kilometers. So there's every reason for us to migrate to new energy electric vehicles, and the president dwelt upon that subject. The final issue which the president raised yesterday, and which was debated intensely by the Politburo, is the one of title deeds. We mentioned this and people thought it was a political gimmick by Zanu PF to win 2023 elections. Hurrah, we are there today. The Minister of Justice has worked hard with the best experts in space technology, but also in IT. Now we are ready to issue titles for most of the houses which have been built by Zimbabweans without title deeds. This will mean that they can now go and register their properties and refinance them. This will change the debt structure of the country, because this was an unaccounted for asset. It was a hidden asset. It was a dead asset. Now it has been injected with a new life by the Minister of Justice working on title deeds. The rollout is happening, and it will extend also even to growth centers and rural development centers. So there will be a lot of title deeds given to the black population of Zimbabwe. The difference between those in Bare and Highfield and those in the suburbs. Those in the suburbs can borrow money because their house is on title. But those who are on the other side cannot borrow money because their house is on their title. But equally, both of them possess a property. So we are equalizing. We are equalizing the property market in Zimbabwe to make sure that, and this has got a very big multiplier effect on the SME economy. And the president is very much focused. There will be a paper in Bulawayo on the SME economy of Zimbabwe, which is very vibrant. That's why we have such energy in the economy, because the SME sector has been doing very well for the people of Zimbabwe. Remember, the gold sector I'm talking about is SMEs. Remember, the tobacco sector which I'm talking about, SMEs. Remember, the young people growing blueberries now, SMEs. So the whole SME sector is a hothouse of innovations which are making this economy move forward. So by and large, these are the major areas which the president focused on and which the Politburo debated at length yesterday. And the president also said he's going to continue to tweak the investment environment so that more and more investors come in. The beauty about it is that you are seeing imitation is the best form of flattery. Everybody now wants to come and see our president about open for business. Even those who were scoffing at him in 2018 when we were going to Davos, They said, why should Zimbabwe? It's a pariah state. Nobody wants to put his money there. But the situation has been flipped over by the president. So the French were here, they want to invest. The Canadians were here, they want to invest. The Americans, they are coming, they want to invest. So, nobody wants to be left out. Zimbabwe is the in thing now for investors because we have a very hard-working population which can quickly spin capital into profit. Very organized, very educated, and very disciplined. This is what we are offering on top of the resources which we have. So this is the main thing which the report of the president and the party will focus on. How are we delivering prosperity to the people of Zimbabwe? There were other issues beyond promoting of investments. We also, as our anti-sanctions, remember we are under sanctions. So there's a signature. We are looking at 1 million signatures in memory of President Magufuli, who made 25 October anti-sanctions day for Zimbabwe, for SADC. So this is another thing. We will have a program dedicated to Blawa to remind the people of Zimbabwe that you are under sanctions and to tell the Western world that even if we are succeeding on our own, we still have this albatross of sanctions which you have been imposed on us, but we are a defiant nation. We would still not be miffed if your sanctions continue, but obviously if they can be lifted, it means our speed of delivering development deliverables, development goals to the Zimbabwe people will be speeded up, and prosperity will be transmitted to Zimbabwe people at a gathered space. This is the anti-sanctions. Then we also have I talked about Western nations. Just 3 days ago, some of you were here. I am the Canadian ambassador. It's a major Western country, Anglo-Saxon, one of the five eyes of the Anglo-Saxon world: America, Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And this is the former British Empire originally. They always have emotional issues about Zimbabwe because, obviously we defeated an Anglo-Saxon community which was marauding our country. But we are turning over a new page. We are establishing very good links with them. They are even coming to Zanu PF headquarters. Isn't that a beauty? I entertained the American embassy last year. Now we are having the Canadians here, and we told them we want to join the Commonwealth. It's not as important economically as our relations with China. It's not. But it's always good to be in that club because it creates a good feel factor. We want to feel good. It's mainly about feeling good, the Commonwealth. We want just so we are keen. We are keen to go back into it. The BRICS summit is going on now. This is very important in Moscow. So President took note of that. We want to become a member of the BRICS. Remember, more than 2/3 of the population comes from the BRICS, and increasingly the GDP of the BRICS supersedes that of the OECD. Originally, key countries, the OECD countries, are those Western countries, about 16 of them. But the BRICS is taking momentum. So we want to be identified. We want our foot in any camp, because we are friendly to all and enemy to none. So the president's very happy with the trooping of investment delegations to the State House, particularly those from the West. They are saying, if you can't beat Zimbabwe, join it, because we are doing a good thing. It's a good story. So let's hit our chest, pump our chest, because we are doing a good thing. And our message that we are a pro-investment, pro-development country is beginning to percolate even in Western capitals. They are afraid to be left out of the bonanza of development which Zimbabwe is offering. The president also yesterday issued a statement on the elections in Mozambique and congratulated our sister party Frelimo, and also congratulated our young youthful candidate, the new president of Mozambique, 47 years. Congratulations, President Daniel Chapo, the incoming president of Mozambique. So SADC issued a statement because we are seeing a lot of things which are beginning to look like interference with the electoral processes in Mozambique, with the EU and America rushing in to claim the mantle of rectitude about African elections. We don't believe that, we never got our democracy from those countries. So they are now interfering ahead of the elections. They send the losing candidate is sending delegations to Brussels, sending delegations to Washington. No, this is a SADC thing. Mozambique is a SADC member, where it's a sister country. We fought together. We cannot allow foreign countries to seize the initiative about the agenda of the elections in Mozambique. So we are very happy that a few days ago, South Africa, the leading economy and the leading regional power, issued a statement. The ANC congratulated Frelimo 2 days ago. And yesterday, the chairman of SADC himself they issued a statement. There won't be this Mumba thing which they try to do on us in Zimbabwe. We are vigilant this time. So we have moved in to congratulate Chapo. If there are issues, they are for Mozambicans to settle with their own system, but by and large the election was decided by the people of Mozambique, and we are happy with the outcome, which is indicative from what is going on in the Mozambican elections. I think by and large we are going to focus on this, particularly the shift of the president's attention from the rural economy, then the mining economy. Remember, these things which the president has done are methodical. For food security, he started with the rural economy. Fumvudza, all these things, and now wheat and everything. Then he did wonders for our currency by promoting the mining sector and the gold industry. So out of the combination of the rural agro-industry and the mining, we are now getting into the industrial stage, because the resources which support industry are coming from these two areas. So the president's final step is industrialization and the restoration of modern, vibrant cities and new cities. Remember, there is a statute which was passed the last weekend by the president on the building of new cities. Isn't this a beauty? That in post-colonial Africa, an African government is beginning to have statutes to say, because of the vibrance which we have created in our economy, we are going to build cities. Before, the traditional view was that cities are Western and pre-colonial. Now Zimbabwe is changing the matrix. We are changing the template. Cities are going to be Afro-centric. And Manize will be one of the fastest growing cities. It will be linked to Beira by a railway line. An investment of 16 million is being put on the Forbes border post anytime now to create a border post which will export steel through Mozambique, and a new port in Mozambique. And with the election of President Daniel Chapo, the president is thinking of upgrading the relationship between Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Before it was a joint commission. Then it became a bilateral commission which is closer. We may actually envisage now a union between Zimbabwe and Mozambique, because the two economies are so entwined, like the ones between Germany and France in 1951, which became the EU. So we are looking at that template between Germany and France, and the president is looking at that with the prospect of the new elections in Mozambique. So we are now talking of a new urban economy. We want the people in Mbare, the people in Popoma, the people in Sakuba to feel a certain feel-good factor, a certain hope about being in an urban environment where Zimbabwe will be producing world-class goods made in Zimbabwe for the global market. And the ingredients are all there. So you can see when President speaks of Vision 2030 and the prospect of middle income status, all the ingredients are falling into place. And none other than the praise from this German steel expert from Dortmund. Remember, Germany is the home of the many years, the center of excellence in steel making. He came here, he was gawking at what Zimbabweans have done at Manize. So we are doing our things right. The president is hitting all the right chords, and the orchestra is producing the best of music. I want to thank you. Any questions? There are issues which people were raising because I don't want to look like we dodge issues. There was a lot of hullabaloo on social media about this and that, about that. But like we always assure you, Zanu PF is a structured party with a very, very strong cadreship, which has known each other through thick and thin for the good part of the last 40 to 50 years. So we know each other in Zanu PF. We are not like some of these wayward parties where people just gather like they are people are gathered to collect majanje mujiri. No. We are really a party of people who can appreciate each other. So sometimes those who are outside, particularly with the advent of social media, they think that they can create a reality outside of Zanu PF, which somehow percolates into Zanu PF at its central committee meeting and at its Politburo meeting and at its conference in Bulawayo. Then that agenda foisted from outside becomes a distracting thing, so that the things I have been talking about for the past 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we shunt them aside. We chase these phantoms, these shadows of social media. No, we don't do things like that in Zanu PF. So the balloon of social media has been punched. It has been pinched. It has no air. You saw the leadership, everything is going smoothly. There was supposed to be somebody going to do this about this, and that there was supposed to be another this about that, and the G40s of this world were all over the shore. Nothing like that. They were meeting smoothly, went go on. We stick to the agenda, and the agenda is prosperity from the Zimbabwe people, and we never deviate from that agenda. So I don't think I was trying to dodge the issue. There was candid discussions about all those issues. People were mentioning some names, and people were saying this about that, about this, because we are a democratic party. But it never distracts us from the central mission of Zanu PF, the delivery of prosperity and a modern economy. The first African country to deliver a genuine African middle class, which can which can boast of prosperity based on our own resources, based on our interaction with the best on the global market, and determined to carve a niche in the global marketplace, producing world-class goods made in Zimbabwe for the global market. That's what Zanu PF wants. So we are not compromising on excellence in the investors we want. The president was BYD. BYD is bigger than Tesla in electric vehicles. It's called Build Your Dreams. The investor in BYD in China is Warren Buffett, the American, is the investor. This is where we are going to be looking for electric vehicles to come into the Zimbabwe market, to displace all these second-hand Japanese buses which are delivery vans. The Huawei is big. Everybody look at, they are making phones with the 3 folds. I got a Huawei phone, it has 2 folds. Now they've got one with the 3 folds, goes 3 ways. This is the center, this is a top company which the president visited in China, that's Huawei. It has come back despite the American challenges. We are having Tsingshan. Tsingshan is the biggest in the world in steel. In every 3 teaspoons in the world, one is made by Tsingshan. Every 3 steel pipes, stainless steel pipe, one is made by Tsingshan. Gives 10% of Indonesia's GDP. They are even inviting our leadership all to go to see what they are doing in Indonesia. So they are number 1 in stainless steel, they are number 1 in nickel, they are number 4 in batteries for electric vehicles, and they are a center of excellence, and these are the investors which the president has been quoting. Varun, the guy from Varun, is an Indian, the top bottler of Pepsi in the world. He is here in Zimbabwe. He has used his operation in Zimbabwe to buy Varun, South Africa. The one at Southampton. Have you gone to Southampton of lately? The whole place has changed in the last 4 years. These are the investors which President Mnangagwa is bringing to this country. We are not cutting corners in search of excellence in terms of investors in Zimbabwe. We are going for the best. That's what President E.D. Mnangagwa does. So yesterday, the Politburo was all agog. President, your vision is way ahead. You see things further. But are you surprised? As a young man, he leaves everything to say, I'll go and fight in a war. He never knew he would survive. He saw things further than anybody. Today we have Zimbabwe, we have the army, which we like, we have this, and we have this. So vision is within the DNA of our president, and discipline passes through the veins of Zanu PF. So don't worry about the hot air which comes on social media. It will be all clockwork orange and peace in Bulawayo. None of that halabaloo which you are reading on social media. None of that. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I will entertain questions.
I want to ask about maybe, are you at liberty of sharing with us the position of the Central Committee with regards to reports of suspended members in the meetings process?
No, there was a media report about discipline. I see, these are things which, in the party, some people misbehave. There are disciplinary committees, they come back. And remember, all those people who were G40s, they went out and they are back. As much as possible, Zanu PF is a people's party. We try to accommodate each other as much as possible. So even if there are suspensions, I'm sure a way will be found. The president wants a united party. I would not I don't want to read much into those things anyway. Yeah, but it's not like it will be the end of life for being suspended. I've been in and out for so many times. The main thing is that you never try to go out of Zanu PF because of the institutional capacity of the party. It is a product of so many Zimbabweans over the years committing their life to Zanu PF to give it the credentials which it has. So don't see if things go wrong with it. Don't say Deche Momun, Deche Vano Zimbabwe, because they are the ones who made it. Don't make people take you away from Zanu PF because it belongs to the people of Zimbabwe. So I don't have the details, but obviously so there may be some distractions, and then afterwards there will be accommodations. We all want, as much as possible, people back in the party so that they can contribute to the prosperity goal which Zimbabwe seeks. Thank you. Coming.
Thank you, Ambassador. I am eager to know what was the reaction of the Central Committee following those reports of social media reports about the relations between the president and his deputy. I am out of interest to know what was their reaction, the Central Committee.
Well, there was a lot of debate. First we focus on things which matter. Then, of course, it's a democratic party. People aired a lot of views about this and that. It was banter. That's how I would put it. There was a lot of banter about it, so that people let off steam and people find each other out. And in the end, there is nothing real going on between our president and our vice president or the Politburo's leadership or to shake the party. There's nothing. Remember I told you that we are cadres of the party who have known each other at personal level through even battle. So we go a long way back. We are not like the other party, which is like good. We're not the chirungu cricket. We are not like crickets or locusts, who then when they get angry it kicks its leg and breaks it and throws away the leg. In Zanu PF we don't do things like that. We always find a way of accommodating each other. So there's nothing more to it than just banter. We had a lot of banter about it, and we found each other out. The president is happy. The vice president is still very much part of the team. The Politburo is still very much united. The Central Committee is working in one direction, and the membership is going to conference with a single-minded of purpose, which is the Zanu PF way of doing things, much to the chagrin of those who think that we can become like Chamisa's triple C or the former MDC. We don't do things like that in Zanu PF. We have just so much institutional glue knitting us together to make to throw away the gains of so many years and so much hard work. And there is purpose to what we are doing. The other people have no purpose. They have an agenda, a nihilistic agenda, regime change, nothing else. Eddie Crossman highlighted it today. If Chamisa had accepted to become the leader of the House, and he was going to be in Parliament influencing debate, he will probably this time be a very prominent opposition figure with the prospect of winning an election. But he doesn't know good from bad. No capacity to judge good from bad. Now, if you're a politician who can't judge good from bad, where do you go? You end up nowhere. We don't do things like that in Zanu PF. See, we work together, and we always try to find each other, and we do. We debate, we quarrel. It may look like quarrels, but it happens in the family. But at the end of the day, the family pulls together. Do I answer your question? Thank you. I tried as much as possible. Yes, but you can follow up. There's nothing. The debate inside was very candid. There was no innuendo when people were talking about these issues. But they are not the main thing driving the party. What is driving the party is how do we deliver prosperity to the people of Zimbabwe. And on that, everybody is united. Is he? Yeah. Another question? So, vangu vari vapresa paundo vanotengera chicken chete. Vanoita